Here's a demon who gets summoned to the human world by a college girl. And every single day, she tries to murder her summoner to get back home to hell. The problem? This girl is scarier than anything in the underworld. Welcome to the most unhinged roommate situation in manga history.
Meet Hanazono Yuraine, a Gothic college student who fancies herself the strongest black magician to ever make a pact with the devil. She goes by Zabiel the Black, Preacher of Evil, which sounds terrifying until you realize she just watches too many horror movies. In reality, she's just another college kid with a cruel heart and a thing for the dark arts. But a few days ago, something even she couldn't have predicted actually happened. Through nothing but sheer dumb luck, Yuraine managed to summon a real demon straight from hell. The creature goes by Jashin-chan, meaning false god, and she's got the upper body of a cute girl and the lower half of a cobra. Despite the intimidating title, she's about as threatening as a wet noodle. No matter how you look at her though, she is technically a demon. Yuraine walks through the door with a casual "I'm back," and Jashin-chan greets her like a roommate, not a hellspawn. But the small talk doesn't last, because this demon has exactly one goal: get back home to hell. She's figured out that if her summoner dies, the contract breaks, and she gets a free trip back to the underworld. So naturally, murder is always on the agenda. Jashin-chan asks if Yuraine has found a way to send her back yet. Yuraine mentions she checked the library on the way home from school, but found nothing. That's all the excuse the demon needs. She announces she'll just kill Yuraine instead. The narrator hypes up her blatantly violent attack as the deadly dropkick launches with full force. The dropkick connects with absolutely nothing. Yuraine sidesteps like she's dodging a light breeze and is already holding a saw before Jashin-chan hits the ground. The demon demands to know why her attack didn't work, and Yuraine reminds her she was told to wait days ago. Jashin-chan fires back that she doesn't take orders from humans, which is brave for someone currently on the floor. Yuraine's patience runs out in the most terrifying way possible. She brings down a blade and slashes clean through Jashin-chan's tail like she's prepping dinner. The demon screams while Yuraine calmly explains this was her punishment for the murder attempt. Jashin-chan swears she'll kill her one day, and Yuraine's only response is, "So that's how it is." That night, the neighbor's music blasts through the walls, rattling the whole apartment. Jashin-chan sees her chance to impress, dramatically declaring she'll handle the situation. She slithers out the door with the confidence of someone who definitely has a plan. The music stops almost immediately, which seems like a win until you wonder exactly how she made it stop. Yuraine opens the door to a hallway that looks like a crime scene. Blood everywhere, the demon looking roughed up but smug, and Yuraine takes it all in like someone finding a spilled drink. She asks what happened, and Jashin-chan tells her to use her imagination. The fact that Yuraine's only concern is that the noise stopped tells you everything about this girl. Yuraine suggests they stop wasting electricity and go to bed. Jashin-chan agrees way too enthusiastically because she's already planning another kill attempt. The second the lights go off, she leaps through the darkness with a battle cry. She's absolutely certain that this time she finally has the drop on her summoner. She does not. Yuraine's futon is surrounded by a magic circle that electrocutes Jashin-chan on contact, lighting her up like a Christmas tree. The demon collapses onto her own bed, whimpering and pouting while Yuraine sleeps peacefully inside her barrier. The narrator cheerfully announces that the tale of these two is only just beginning, which feels more like a threat than a promise. Chapter 2 opens with Yuraine on the phone, casually noting that since she summoned a demon, an alien wouldn't be weird either. She wraps up the call and heads home, wondering if Jashin-chan has been behaving. The answer is obviously no, but today the chaos comes with a special delivery. Something new has arrived at the apartment, and it's about to make everything worse. Jashin-chan greets Yuraine with a baby deer sporting tiny demon horns. She ordered it from Amazoness, Hell's version of a major online retailer, and named it Azusa II. Yuraine doesn't care about the name. She wants to know where this hell creature came from. But even the ice-cold summoner has to admit the thing is ridiculously cute. There's a catch though. Pets are banned in their apartment building, so the Hell Bambi has to go back. Jashin-chan is heartbroken, but not so heartbroken she forgets her primary mission. She spots an opening while Yuraine is distracted by Azusa's cuteness and launches another deadly dropkick. Yuraine's guard is completely down, and victory is finally within reach. Yuraine dodges like she has a sixth sense for incoming snake demon violence. The dropkick sails past and connects directly with Azusa II, sending the poor hell deer flying with a sickening slam. Jashin-chan stares in horror at what she's done, while Yuraine points out she's the one who attacked. The demon tries to shift blame, but the evidence is literally twitching on the floor. Azusa II's soul departs at exactly 8 o'clock, and a level-up jingle plays. Jashin-chan cheerfully announces she gained a level from absorbing the experience points, which is somehow the most disturbing thing all day. Yurin blames her for the pet's death, and Jashin-chan points an accusatory finger right back. This turns out to be a catastrophic mistake. If there's one thing Yurin absolutely cannot stand, it's being pointed at. Her eyes go dark, and she explains with terrifying calm that her policy on finger-pointing is simple. Stab those who point. Before Jashin-chan can process the danger, a knife is already buried in her. The demon screams while Yurin stands over her like a disappointed parent who's snapped. The aftermath involves superglue, panic, and a very real possibility of bleeding out on the apartment floor. Jashin-chan scrambles to close the wound before she dies, which sounds dramatic, but is apparently justified. Yurin watches and offers the extremely unhelpful advice that this should teach her not to point at people. The wound gets sealed, but the trauma absolutely does not. Jashin-chan demands to know who this psychopath even is. She's never met anyone this deranged, not even in hell. The question of how Yurin paid for Azusa II comes up, and she casually mentions the site would debit her account. When Yurin starts evaluating Jashin-chan's body for potential earnings to cover the cost, the demon spirals into a full existential crisis. Chapter 3 kicks off at a curry restaurant, and for once, nobody is trying to kill anyone. Jashin-chan is raving that the curry is so good every other restaurant should give up. She accidentally says the chef should be killed, which Yurin shuts down immediately. Even a compliment turns violent when this demon is the one giving it. Between bites, the real plot drops. They need to find the last volume of a grimoire, and it's Jashin-chan's fault they're searching for it. Yurin tells her to finish eating quickly and quietly, which is like asking a hurricane to behave. Jashin-chan clicks her tongue in frustration, earning another sharp scolding. The search for the lost book is about to begin, and these two can't even get through a meal without fighting. The search for the lost grimoire leads them to a dusty old bookstore, and things go sideways almost immediately. Yurin scans the shelves while Jashin-chan spots a demon guide and eagerly checks if she's listed inside. The book claims to feature every creature living in hell, but when she flips through it, the so-called false god is nowhere to be found. Her pride shatters on the spot, and the rage that follows is spectacular. Jashin-chan absolutely loses it on the bookstore owner, screaming that the guide is a fraud because it doesn't include her. She demands the title be corrected since it only covers a fraction of demons, not all of them. The terrified shopkeeper begs her to stop while Yurin calmly tells her to knock it off. They end up buying the guide anyway, and the poor owner passes out from the stress of it all. They walk out empty-handed on the grimoire front, and Jashin-chan's mood does something unexpected. It softens. She thanks Yurin for helping her look, admitting she knew they probably wouldn't find it from the start. There's a flicker of something almost sweet in her voice, as she says she still hoped they would. For just a moment, it feels like maybe these two could actually get along. That moment lasts about 3 seconds. Yurin's eye twitches because Jashin-chan is drawing way too much attention in public with her snake body on full display. She grabs the demon and threatens to send her flying all the way back to hell if she keeps making a scene. Bystanders stare in confusion while Yurin drags her away, furious about the unwanted spotlight. So much for that tender bonding moment. Back at the apartment, a new chapter begins with a bizarre visitor, a giant one-eyed creature called Ocelis-chan standing in the doorway. Yurin mutters about yet another creepy creature showing up at their place. It turns out Ocelis-chan is a minor demon used as a messenger, and it's here to deliver Jashin-chan's level-up bonus report. The demon is thrilled, celebrating with a cheerful, "Oh yeah," while Yurin watches with her usual deadpan stare. The messenger finishes its report and then promptly explodes, because apparently self-destructing after delivery is just standard protocol in hell. Jashin-chan casually explains that it respawns back in the underworld with an extra demon rank as a reward. Yurin is more interested in asking what actually happens when Jashin-chan levels up. The answer turns out to be surprisingly mundane and completely hilarious. Jashin-chan lights up as she lists her level-up perks: free train tickets, luxury hotel vouchers, and special supermarket discounts. Yurin can't believe what she's hearing, pointing out it sounds like a coupon book. The demon even has a little shrine set up for Azusa II, thanking the dead hell deer for the experience points. It's weirdly wholesome until you remember the deer died because Jashin-chan dropkicked it into a wall. The conversation takes a melancholy turn as Jashin-chan starts reminiscing about home. She misses hell, she misses her parents, she misses her friend Medusa, and she's stuck in the human world because some girl summoned her for fun. A summoned demon can't return until the summoner dies. That's Hell's Law. Yurine watches quietly as the demon whimpers about wanting to go back, and for once there's no punchline coming. Of course, the sympathy doesn't last because Yurine catches Jashin-chan trying to murder her again almost immediately after. She pins the demon with a terrifying glare and reminds her, again, that she asked her to wait while she researches how to send her back. Jashin-chan stammers out a yes while shaking like a leaf. She rants internally about how this human is tougher than any demon she's ever faced, and the stress is going to make her go bald. Chapter 5 introduces a brand new character, and she's wandering around Akihabara with a paper bag over her head. This is Medusa, and she's trying to ask a random guy for directions to Jinbocho. The guy is way more interested in what's under the bag, complimenting her cute voice and trying to pull it off. Medusa panics and warns him not to look at her face, but he's already committed. He sees her face, his eyes go wide, he screams something in a dead language and turns to solid stone on the spot. Medusa stands there looking devastated while the petrified guy stays frozen mid-scream. She never did get those directions to Jinbocho, and now there's a statue of an otaku in the middle of Akihabara. The whole situation is equal parts tragic and absurd. Back at the apartment, Jashin-chan is pacing restlessly because Medusa is running late and Yurine could come home any minute. The doorbell rings and she rushes to answer, only to find it's just the mailman. She apologizes for the mistake, and when the bell rings again, she decides to check through the peephole first this time. Medusa has finally arrived, paper bag and all, looking embarrassed about the delay. Jashin-chan asks about the bag, and Medusa explains. Any human who sees her face turns to stone, so she wears it as a precaution. Since her power doesn't affect other demons, Jashin-chan tells her to take it off. Medusa slowly removes the bag to reveal an adorable face underneath, looking shy and uncertain. Jashin-chan serves her barley tea with sugar, like a proper host, which might be the nicest thing she's done in the entire series. Then, Medusa starts crying out of nowhere. She admits she turned a human to stone on the way over, and feels terrible about it. Jashin-chan's response is peak demon energy. The human world is overpopulated anyway. Who cares if there's one less person? Medusa breaks down further, saying she wishes she wasn't a devil because all she wants is to make friends with humans, but she can't even look at them. Jashin-chan snaps out of her casual cruelty and grabs Medusa by the shoulders. She tells her to get it together because they're about to go up against Yurine, a human, and they absolutely cannot afford to be sentimental. She already warned Medusa over DMs about how broken Yurine is. There's no room for naive ideas about befriending humans, otherwise they're both screwed. Medusa tearfully apologizes for losing her composure and promises to pull herself together. The two demons share a surprisingly tender moment, holding hands and making up like old friends. Then Jashin-chan explains exactly how strong Yurine is using a fighting game analogy. Imagine a total beginner reaching the 7th stage boss. That's the level of unfair they're dealing with, and they need to be ready. The plan comes together, and it's actually clever for once. When Yurine comes home, Medusa will use her petrification to turn her to stone. Then Jashin-chan dropkicks the stone Yurine, shattering her completely. With the summoner destroyed, Jashin-chan finally gets to go back to the underworld. She cackles with a villainous grin, while Medusa watches in awe at this terrifying scheme, worthy of a false god. Chapter 6 opens, and the plan is already in motion, but something has gone horribly wrong. Yurine walks through the door, and Medusa hits her with the full petrification stare. Nothing happens. Yurine just stands there, completely fine, arms crossed, asking a very casual question. Why didn't Medusa's power work on her? Jashin-chan's jaw drops because this was supposed to be the foolproof plan. Medusa is equally baffled, stumbling over her words, trying to understand how a human just tanked a petrification gaze. The surprise alone makes Jashin-chan physically nauseous. Once again, Yurine has shattered every expectation and made two demons look like absolute amateurs. Yurine ignores the chaos and turns to Jashin-chan with a knowing look, asking if she remembers what they were talking about yesterday. The demon's brain short-circuits trying to recall whatever conversation Yurine is referencing. Whatever it was, it clearly explains why the petrification didn't work. And Yurine knew this plan was coming before it even started. She was 3 steps ahead the entire time, and Jashin-chan is only just now realizing it. It turns out the conversation Yurine was referencing happened just the day before. Jashin-chan had casually mentioned that a friend from the underworld wanted to come hang out tomorrow. Yurine agreed without hesitation, but then asked one simple question. "What's your friend's name?" The moment Jashin-chan said Medusa, Yurine already knew exactly what was coming. Yurine drops the reveal with the calmest energy imaginable. She explains that since Medusa's name literally means she turns people to stone, she went out and bought anti-petrify power stones from a street vendor in Akihabara. Jashin-chan is floored that such a thing even exists, but apparently in this manga's universe, you can buy magical countermeasures at a street stall. Yurin then lays out their entire plan. Petrify, then Dropkick, like she's reading off a grocery list. Jashin-chan panics and does what she does best, throws Medusa under the bus. She screams that Medusa came up with the whole plan by herself and that she was forced into it. Medusa is horrified. Yurin calls her the worst, and even Medusa admits this level of cowardice is too much. Yurin turns to face them both with a look that says, punishment is no longer optional. The punishment is exactly as brutal as expected. Jashin-chan ends up strung up and bleeding, begging Medusa to help kill Yurin while dripping blood everywhere. Medusa asks if the demon has always been this much of a coward, and Yurin confirms she's been like this for thousands of years. The narrator cheerfully announces that Jashin-chan's plan has been foiled once again, as the demon loses consciousness mid-sentence. Chapter 7 opens in a bizarre white room that apparently only materializes when you're in danger. The catch: you can only enter wearing your underwear, which is exactly the state both Jashin-chan and Yurin find themselves in. Jashin-chan has no idea what's happening while Yurin tells her to sit down. Whatever this room is, it feels like an interrogation is about to begin. Yurin asks Jashin-chan if she knows why she's been called here today. The demon immediately panics, wondering if Yurin found the onigiri she hid in the drawer for a midnight snack. She guessed wrong. Yurin points out the room has smelled moldy because of hidden food stashes. It's the kind of domestic crime that somehow feels more embarrassing than the murder attempts. The real reason for this meeting hits different though. Yurin brings up something Jashin-chan said recently, that she wished she could be in an anime and have fans call her their waifu. She asks if the demon really understands what that means. Jashin-chan says even being talked about for just 3 months would be fine, which is exactly the answer Yurin expected. Yurin proceeds to break down the entire life cycle of an anime waifu with surgical precision. First comes the initial wave of fan art flooding picture hosting sites. Then the doujinshi section at bookstores fills up with Jashin-chan content. But within a few months, a new seasonal waifu replaces her, and everyone moves on. Would she still want that, knowing how temporary and shallow it is? Jashin-chan is shaken, but tries to hold her ground, saying she'd accept those terms. Yurin pushes further, showing her what the internet frenzy would actually look like. The demon starts wavering as the reality sinks in that being an otaku's temporary obsession isn't exactly the dream she imagined. Yurin delivers the final blow by telling her to drop this wife nonsense forever. Jashin-chan finally cracks, screaming that she's fine with not being anyone's wife. But in the same breath, she admits she still wants to be in an anime, contradicting herself immediately. Yurin stares at her in exhausted silence while Jashin-chan tries to have it both ways. The demon simply cannot make up her mind, and Yurin is done trying to reason with her. The next morning, Jashin-chan finds a magic wand on the table with a note that reads, "Please absolutely do not transform." She picks it up, confused about what kind of gadget this even is. She loudly insists she would never think about transforming even without the warning, which is obviously a lie. Yurin heads off to wash up and make breakfast, leaving the temptation sitting right there. Meanwhile, a reader mail segment drops a wild question. Does Yurin do magical girl transformations when she's bored? The answer is yes. Yurin actually uses the wand, strikes a pose, and transforms into a full, dark, magical girl outfit complete with bat wings. Jashin-chan realizes that if Yurin has the power to resist petrification, she might actually be something far more dangerous than a regular human. Jashin-chan starts freaking out, trying to remember what spell she needs to recite for her own transformation. Yurin catches her flailing around and asks what on earth she's doing. The demon nervously lies about just trying to think of a spell, definitely not trying to transform herself. Yurin tells her the incantation is, "I am a complete idiot," followed by a cute pose, and Jashin-chan almost falls for it. Dinner that night is spicy curry, and Jashin-chan is sweating bullets trying to eat it. She can't tell if she's sweating from the spice or from the constant existential dread of living with Yurin. The canned curry they've been using lately is apparently really good though, so at least there's that small comfort. Even demons need a decent meal between near-death experiences. Yurin comes home with a new acquisition, a spear that she casually shows off to Jashin-chan. She mentions it would probably go clean through someone if she stabbed them with it, then quickly adds, "Just kidding." Jashin-chan doesn't believe the joke for a second, because nothing about Yurin's track record suggests she'd ever joke about weapons. Then Yurin wonders aloud where she could find something alive to test it on that isn't a person or animal. Jashin-chan realizes she needs to strike first, or she's going to end up as a spear target. She reflects that she hasn't used her deadly dropkick recently, which means the power has been building up like a boxer storing energy for a knockout hook. She spots Yurine with her back turned and seizes the moment. The demon launches herself with everything she's got, screaming that this will be Yurine's bloody end. The attack connects with Yurine's head, and the result is so gruesome even Medusa can't watch. Jashin-chan stands over the aftermath wielding a crowbar she calls Crowbar-kun, explaining that it inflicts the most fatal injuries on humans. She gloats about how this weapon means her enemies won't escape with just a couple injuries. For once in her life, the demon actually won. Medusa is in shock, begging God to punish Jashin-chan despite being a demon herself. Jashin-chan is fully committed now, wielding her weapon while Medusa cries that hitting someone like that won't just hurt them, it will definitely kill them. The demon laughs and says this is getting interesting. For the first time in the series, it looks like Jashin-chan actually has the upper hand. She sets up the killing blow while Yurine watches a DVD, completely distracted. Jashin-chan gloats that her summoner doesn't even realize this is a trap as she creeps up behind her. She raises the weapon overhead and delivers what she calls a special service for the readers. The bat comes down with full force in what should be the final strike. Then Jashin-chan wakes up. It was all a dream. The crowbar, the victory, the gore, none of it was real. She jolts upright in a cold sweat, relieved but also devastated that her one triumph was just her subconscious being kind to her. Yurine walks through the door carrying heavy bags, and all Jashin-chan can muster is a defeated shit as reality comes crashing back. Chapter 11 opens with the most luxurious dinner these two have ever shared. A bubbling beef nabe loaded with expensive meat from Akihabara. Jashin-chan is in absolute heaven, savoring every bite while Yurine tells her to eat some vegetables too. The demon notices their meals have been getting way nicer lately and asks if Yurine did something terrible to afford it. Yurine casually reveals she picked up a part-time job, which raises way more questions than it answers. Jashin-chan is immediately suspicious because Yurine has always refused to say what kind of work she does. She tries to imagine her summoner interacting with normal humans at a regular job, but nothing about Yurine suggests she'd thrive in customer service. The only profession that makes sense is witch, and Jashin-chan is pretty sure that's not a real career. She decides there's only one way to find out: follow Yurine after school. The next day, Jashin-chan tails Yurine to the subway, and they both end up in Akihabara after a single stop. Yurine is annoyed that the demon rode the train for something she could have walked. A random woman on the street tries to recruit Jashin-chan into viewing some free personal exhibition. The demon brushes her off, but the distraction costs her precious seconds on Yurine's trail. Jashin-chan loses sight of Yurine almost immediately and throws a tantrum about it being that stupid woman's fault. She gives up on the investigation and decides to kill time playing games in Jimbocho before heading home. As she slithers down the street, a new girl with short dark hair spots her from behind. All she says is one word: a snake, and the look on her face says she's not going to let this go. Meanwhile, at a nearby cafe, a girl is excitedly telling Yurine's friend about seeing someone whose lower body was a snake and whose upper half was completely exposed. The friend shrugs it off as normal for Akihabara, which is both accurate and deeply concerning. Yurine overhears the conversation and quietly decides she's going to have a serious talk with Jashin-chan when she gets home. The demon doesn't know it yet, but a lecture is incoming. Chapter 12 kicks off with Yurine's birthday, and Jashin-chan is suspiciously enthusiastic about celebrating. She promises a grand party will be waiting when Yurine gets back, and even tells her to be careful on her way out. The moment the door closes, Jashin-chan drops the act and starts scheming with Medusa. They'll be making preparations, all right, just not the kind Yurine would appreciate. Medusa arrives with a birthday cake from Fujike Bakery and a mysterious item Jashin-chan requested. The demon's eyes light up, and she asks if Medusa is going to try anything weird with it. Medusa responds with a nervous but genuine, "Of course not," which in this manga means something is absolutely going to go wrong. The setup is in motion and the clock is ticking until Yurine walks through that door. Jashin-chan lays out her master plan with the confidence of someone who's never succeeded at anything. First, she'll pretend to hand Yurine her birthday present, then stun her with a taser when she least expects it, and finally slice her open with a kitchen knife. She declares this will be her lucky item, and that the crowbar plan's failure won't repeat itself. Medusa is mortified that anyone would use a birthday for an assassination attempt. Yurine comes home, and Jashin-chan greets her with a cheerful, "Welcome back," before immediately screaming, "Happy birthday! My gift to you is death!" She pulls out the taser and lunges forward, getting so excited she can't even speak coherently anymore. The attack happens in a blur of garbled profanity and murderous intent. This is it, the moment she's been waiting for. Except the taser buzzes harmlessly because it's not a taser at all. It's an electric razor. Jashin-chan stares at the device in confusion while Medusa sheepishly admits she swapped it out. She explains she didn't want Jashin-chan to be guilty of any sins, which is both the sweetest and most infuriating thing the demon has ever heard. Jashin-chan screams that she's never been guilty of anything in her life, which is objectively false. Jashin-chan rounds on Medusa, furious that she ruined a perfectly good murder opportunity. She points and screams, calling Medusa out for sabotaging the plan. But the commotion draws Yurine's attention, and before Jashin-chan can finish her rant, she feels a cold hand on her shoulder. Yurine reminds her that she called Medusa an inferior creature earlier, and her tone makes it clear this conversation isn't going to end well. Yurine tells Jashin-chan not to think she's intelligent just because she knows a few big words, then calls her an inferior creature right back. The demon gets grabbed and dragged into whatever punishment Yurine has prepared. Medusa watches in horror as her friend gets manhandled by a college student who fights like a final boss. The power gap between human and demon has never been more embarrassing. The punishment escalates to a real taser this time, because of course Yurine actually owns one. Jashin-chan screams so hard the sides of her mouth tear, while electricity courses through her body. She begs Medusa for help, calling out that she's going to lose her mind. Yurine casually asks how it feels to be shocked by a real taser, like she's conducting a science experiment on her own roommate. The chapter ends with Yurine calmly telling the electrocuted, battered, half-dead demon to eat up since she's immortal anyway. She sits down at the table and starts eating as if nothing happened while Jashin-chan twitches on the floor. Medusa wonders why Yurine's actions are so impossible to predict. It was supposed to be a birthday celebration, and somehow it still ended with Jashin-chan getting destroyed, the only consistent thing in this entire series.